Ace Karen, not JD Weirdo. Elon.
Who called my name? I'm busy fucking up Twitter. Trump.
Wait for it. No, seriously, wait for it. Coming up. Go.
There is a song, I don't know who sings it. It goes, "The freaks come out at night." It's not just at night the freaks come out. The DNC convention is to get underway shortly, and all the Trump types they're rushing to Fox News, they're setting up their microphones and cameras outside the convention centre, just looking for, I don't know what you would describe it as. I think clowns are looking for a circus, and I love how those who actually have some serious thoughts with regard to attending the DNC convention are just not playing along with the idiots. We'll start with Ron and On, and then what is coming up next is it is brilliant, and it all went out live, by the way. Unbelievable.
It has been the left that attracts the violence. We had, during the summer of 2020, all the protests, over 570 of those resulted in riots, 2,000 law enforcement officers injured, $2 billion worth of damage, a couple dozen people died, a couple in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So again, it's the Democrat Party that seems to attract all this violence. We always had the convention, the RNC convention in Milwaukee, pretty peaceful. What protests we had were pretty muted. I
push you out. Here's how Maureen Dowd put it. She said, quote, even though it was the right thing to do, because Joe Biden was not going to be able to campaign, much less serve as president for another 4 years, in a fully vital way, it was a jaw-dropping putsch. She basically says a coup is still a coup. I mean, essentially, I don't want to say this was a coup because nobody actually marched up to him with a spear in hand and said, get off the throne.
That is literally ridiculous.
Well, you can tell that to Maureen Dowd because those are the words that she used. But, Senator, he was pushed out. I mean, there's no denying that.
John, this was the president's decision. He and he alone had to make that decision one way or the other. And as I said to him, as we were talking through that period, I intended to stay by his side every step of the way, as did all the folks who I work closely with as his campaign co-chairs and lifelong supporters. The president looked at the polls, he listened to friends and colleagues, and he made the decision to step aside. And it was selfless, and it is a remarkable act of leadership. I'll remind you that 2 weeks before, hang on a minute, if we're going to talk about attempted putches, 2 weeks before President Biden gave his inaugural speech, an angry mob stormed the Capitol. I was there in an attempt at stopping the peaceful transition of power. That's the one attempted coup that's happened in my lifetime, not persuading Joe Biden to step aside in favor of his trusted vice president.
So then
causing you this mental distress and anguish.
I understand why we need into the abortion ban. Like, what is
because you're with the guys with the vasectomies. You're on the vasectomy side of it.
I'm not fucking anybody currently. So, like, I don't understand. Do you understand?
They will cut this if there's language. I do.
You don't fuck, Jack.
All right.
You.
It's one of the things that we have. I can, but we can't have the language. Can't have the language. I was standing here.
That my language is making sure you can't scream, but you're here.
All right, they're telling me they're gonna cut it. Busted.
Still live.
For harassing children.
I think what he does, though, is starting to get boring. Like, I'm looking at the meme that came out, the racist meme that he tweeted. And yes, there was some level of outrage, but I think there was also eye rolling. It's like we've seen this show before. You're appealing to the most base instincts of voters. And I think people are kind of over it. Today, in her speech, Harris pointed out, she said, he gives this talk about the economy, but the actual policy plans were really light. And so she's reversing the critique that Trump gave of her, that she had no policy. And now she's saying, where are the details besides the rage, besides the fear mongering? And I think that, she's exposing a weakness.
I want to pick up on that, Kristen, because whatever you want to say about Trump, he really he's been entertaining in a kind of demented way. And as I watched his presser at Bedminster on Thursday, I thought, what a bore. what a bore this man has become.
Well, and part of his appeal all along, or part of his political power, has been that he understands the medium of television very well. And you saw flickers of that, right? He had all of the products there lined up at that Bedminster press conference. Like, he understands entertainment, he understands television, but he can't control himself. And that's where he's getting into trouble. And so I frankly want to put this on a poll. I want to know, if you ask voters, who would you rather spend 10 minutes watching, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? I actually think that if you had asked that question 6 months ago, Donald Trump wins that in a landslide. Doesn't mean people would vote for him, but he would win that question. I wonder what people would say today if I asked.
Because, God forbid, well, first of all, it wouldn't be 10
like,
minutes.
Okay, I've seen the show
It would be
before.
an hour of droning on and on.
I
and
tell you,
on.
the Trump that they don't like, though, is the one that was reading in that huge binder that looked like my sixth grader giving a book report. I mean, that's not a Trump that is going to sell anything.
Well, and in fact, I thought to myself, talk about political malpractice. Who gave this man that binder? Because, I mean, it just had page after page, and he kept reading. I want to
clarify that, because many veterans are upset about that, including here in Pennsylvania.
No, I didn't hear that. I only heard, when I say better, I would rather in a certain way get it, because people that get the Congressional Medal of Honor, which I've given to many, are often horribly wounded or dead. They're often dead. They get it posthumously. And when you get the Congressional Medal of Honor, I always consider that to be the ultimate, but it is a painful thing to get it. When you get the Presidential Medal of Freedom, it's usually for other things, like you've achieved great success in sports, or you've achieved great success someplace else. When you get the Medal of Honor, generally speaking, and I've met many of them, and I've seen the families of many of them, this is an incredible honor, but it was a statement that it's much more painful to get, because they're oftentimes in very bad shape. I've seen them come up, and they've suffered greatly, whereas the Presidential Medal of Freedom, to my knowledge, I don't think anybody suffered, other than they've worked hard and they've done great things. One's a military award, one's a civilian award, but sometimes very painful to get the other.
Just before we get into Martin Sheen, who was on Morning Joe, just a brilliant interview coming up. Do you want D for dementia or D for Doritos? Can you believe Fox News are not having a good time at the moment? As we head towards the opening of the Dems convention in Chicago, well, Fox News is just looking for anything to smear Kamala Harris with. Would you believe it? The fact that Kamala Harris once, shock, gasp, crime, pause, Kamala Harris once opened a packet of Doritos. That's the crime.
Well, you just talked about Kamala Harris supposedly eating a bag of Doritos, so emotionally charged after hearing this. That's the commander-in-chief, potentially. That's the emotional response of the leader of the free world, is to binge eat a bag of Doritos? Are you kidding me? Can you imagine Putin, how he deals with things, chugging down a bag of Sour Patch Kids because he's depressed about something not going his way? Or back in the day, Soleimani, what is he, binging on Funyuns? I doubt it. I doubt that's the actual response of an elite leader, whether you agree with what they're leading or not.
The conservative news network, CNN, really are in a bit of a pickle. They don't know whether... Who, in their right mind, cares what Jim Jordan has to say about anything? But of course, it's CNN, and their job at CNN is to spread mess, spread gossip. They're not doing news at all. Let me share these two clips with you. The first one's some nonsense about Jim Jordan, and I don't know what they're trying to do, or they're going to impeach Biden. Okay. And then the second clip from CNN is just sheer speculation, it's projection. They don't have any idea at all, but they're looking for clicks. Right? There is no rumours, no confirmation on anything to do with Beyonce and Taylor Swift, but CNN, well, let's get some clicks in, because are we still doing D's? Desperate.
You wrote about Donald's father, your grandfather, having dementia years of his life.
Yeah.
And that, do you see anything, I'm not asking you to be a doctor, do you see anything in Donald now that reminds you of the grandfather during the times of dementia?
You know, Donald said, oh, my father was tip-top until the end. I can assure you that was not the case. Much like, his making noise about crowd size again. I was on a cable station on Thursday night. I said, guess what? I was sitting 2 rows behind him at the inauguration. I know what I saw.
Right.
I know what I saw in my grandfather. I know what I saw in Donald's older sister, my Aunt Marianne, who in the end, thank you for saying, I am not a doctor. I don't pretend to be. I know the warning signs from both of my grandfathers, what it is. Donald's cousin, John Walters, had dementia. It runs in the family. I'm not happy about it because guess what? I worry about it myself. You know, where's my glasses? Oh, on the top of my head now. I don't know. That may be Halfheimer's, but it runs in the family. He looks older, and I get it. I mean, I'm not saying anybody who is in that office looks different than when they come out, but the things he's spewing and the craziness, and he just can't stick to a message. And he used to be able to stick to a message. Now, like in North Carolina yesterday, he had one goal: talk about the economy. In a state, again, he shouldn't be at. He shouldn't be spending millions of dollars. So he goes to play the old merry tunes of craziness. And you can tell his base, while still amped up and dangerous, you can see them kind of chilling out a little bit on this play. It may be on its way to being played out. Not immediately. It's going to get. They're going to be there for this election. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, you could see it in the faces of some people. Like, why the hell am I here in Las Vegas? It's 110 degrees out, and listening to, sharks and electric batteries.
There is an expression, and Dortie doesn't know what it is. Oh, we're not doing these anymore. It's when, is it life imitates art or art imitates life? Anyway, Martin Sheen from the West Wing was on Morning Joe, and they were talking about Martin Sheen's character, gives up the presidency for a younger person, a younger female, and Joe Scarborough said that is almost parallel to what President Biden has done with Kamala Harris. So this is good.
Excuse me, sir. Trump or Kamala for president?
Who, what?
Trump or Kamala for president?
Kamala.